Okay, so this is the Hyundai INSTER. I'm sat in it right now, not outside. But that aside, this is an interesting car. It's almost an enigma in a good way. So it's understandable. But the thing is, some people might look at it as a car that's not the best looking out there. But at the same time, I think it's cute. And it carries a lot, or has a lot of practical element to the car in terms of the space in the cabin, in terms of how much space you can have in the boot and the range and all that kind of stuff. Let's start with the design though, because when we look at the front of the car, it looks interesting. We get those rounded headlights, almost look like they're on the E in a way, and you get all those little cubed elements that comes from the Ioniq series, for example. So it carries some design DNA in those areas, but it's not part of the Ioniq series, if that makes sense. But anyway, you get those little cube elements around the car, both on the front, both on the back, even on the car seats. You see some of them on the seat here, which is very interesting. I think it just adds to the fun element of what the car's meant to be. It's meant to be a fun looking car and fun to drive and all that jazz. And then we move over to the side. This is only 3.8 meters long, so it's not very big at all. It's very compact, making it very good for urban and city driving. So it's easy to park anywhere. You can just chuck it around and you're good to go. And then we move over to the back of the car. And actually, before we move over to the back of the car, the front also is where you charge the car. So you got a nice seamless integration to that front bumper where you charge the car up. We'll talk about the charging speeds in a little while. And also, before I forget, you also get the flaps that open on the front as well to allow for cooling for the battery and all that kind of stuff, but also closes when you start driving to allow for good drag coefficient and also just for general efficiency of the car. So back to the back of the car. That sounded weird. But going to the back of the car, we see the same design elements with the way the tail lights are, the cubes around the car, and you get back window wiper as well. Open up the boot, we get plenty of boot space here, but it's also quite interesting because when you first open it up, it looks very small, but you can lay the seats completely flat on the back, so that way you can store so much more in this car. In terms of the space that you get, depends on which version you go for. So with this car, you can get 280 litres if you go for the standard range, or 238 up to 351 for the O2 and the Cross trim levels. So the reason why that is because you can actually move the back seat. So you can slide it forwards, you can slide it backwards, you can even recline it as well, entirely up to you. So that allows for the space that you get in the boot, depending on how you've positioned the seat. Back to that boot space, you also get underfloor storage, which means you can store your cables there because you don't get a frunk with this car. So that's where you store your cables and any extras that you might have. But they make it very easy just to move things around and store all your cables, store your luggage and all that kind of stuff. So you get decent amount of boot space in this car considering it's only 3.8 meters long. They've stretched the wheels up front and the back so you get short overhangs. So that way they can make the most of the space that you get in the car and in that boot as well. When we get inside of the car, there's loads of space for your feet, there's loads of space for your knees. Your knees are slightly raised up high, unfortunately, but for city driving, you're not going to be sat in this for too long, which means you're not going to feel it as such. And also, plenty of headroom. I'm sat in the front right now, I'm about 5'10", 5'11", and there's loads of space, loads of headroom here. There's no problems there at all. Again, like I said, plenty of space to store your feet, tuck in your feet there. And sadly, this is only going to sit 2 people in the back. It's not 3 seats configuration on the back, which is a shame. But again, when you consider the size of the car, it also makes sense. Hence why I was talking about the Enigma situation. So it kind of makes sense. We look at the back of the seats, you get this accessory attachment area, so you can attach different Hyundai accessories with this, which is kind of cool. Again, adds to the practical and the fun elements of what this car is all about. The material is really nice. I love this soft finishing, easy to clean, so you're not going to worry about, having kids in the car and getting it dirty or anything like that. Over on the front is a really nice cabin as well. It's very simple. I like it. You get plasticky areas, which is going to mark up over time. You can opt to get a different color in terms of the spec inside. This is all blacked out. So again, it's going to be more visible when you start scratching things up with all the plasticky bits. But that aside though, you get loads of buttons here to control things like your climate control. It's got dual climate control here with this trim level, so the O2. If you go for the standard O1 entry level, you only get one climate control side. So I think it's just the driver side, so you don't get that dual climate control system. But I love that we have loads of buttons here to control things. You also get heated seats with this, which comes with this O2 trim level again. So that's an option. 17-inch alloys on the outside. If I haven't said that already, that's as an option as well. But on the O1, you get 15-inch alloys on those. But I like the design. It looks really good. But back to the cabin here, I keep going in and out of stuff. You get a USB-C port here, 4 USB-A ports, 12 volt, 180 watts, 12 volts. And also this has vehicle to load. So down at the bottom here, we have 3-pin plugs. So you can charge home appliances like your kettle, vacuum cleaners, whatever. You can plug them in and, clean the car, all that kind of stuff. 2 bottle holders here. We get armrest as well, which is really nice. The bottle holders integrated with the driver's seat, which is kind of interesting. I don't think I've seen that in a car. I see that a lot in like vans and stuff like that, but not in a car. But that's an interesting design, which isn't too bad. I've no qualms with that at all. And then we get 10.3-inch driving instrument cluster and infotainment system. You can modify what you see on the screen depending on drive mode, or you can change it to like Classic A, Classic B, Classic C, etc. You can change that. Also, there's a cube theme as well, so you can change your theme of what you see in that instrument cluster. In front of that, on the driver instrument cluster, we get this monitoring system for driver awareness. So as soon as you start taking your eyes off the road, it start beeping at you to make sure you keep your eyes on the road as you're driving. Then over on the steering wheel itself, we have a driver mode button here, which allows you to select between things like eco, normal, sports, and snow mode. So you can select different mode depending on what you're doing. But I normally have it on eco, driving around city. That makes so much sense. The stalks are there as well for light, indicator, wiper, and then your gear shifter stalk is here on the right side as well. Nice and easy, straightforward, no issues there at all. There's also paddle shifts here, which are used for energy recuperation. So you can change the level to go to iPedal mode, which means you can basically use one pedal drive in this car, which again makes so much sense when it comes to city driving. The seats as well, they're controlled manually, so there's no electronically controlled bits and bobs here and there here. It's just manual, straightforward. Again, no extras there. We've got wireless charging here, and it supports Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but wired only, which is interesting. Again, enigma, because you've got wireless charging, but not wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The system itself is very straightforward to use, very easy to use, very easy to navigate. You can even go to settings and change your equalizer settings, for example. Loads of safety options on there. But one of the issues I had with this is there's loads of like just bing bong sounds going off as soon as you start driving. So you have to go into the settings every time and turn things off. So I understand the speed stuff, it's standard now by law, or regulations. So that you have to go into the settings, turn it off. I can't find a quicker way to do it. So you have to go to settings, turn it off. The driver awareness as well just bings all the time. Turn that off if you want to turn it off. But loads of options there to play with and set that up to suit your preference. But overall here, I think they've done a good job at keeping things nice and simple, straightforward, and just dials into what this car's about. Nice and simple, easy to get on with, no issues at all. In terms of battery size, you get a different battery size that you can choose from. So 2 battery size, but also 3 trim levels. So like I've alluded to already, so you got 0, 1, 0, 2, and there's also a cross option as well. The O2 makes so much sense because it gives you all the extras that you get, so like auto dimming mirrors and stuff like that, the dual climate control system, and just the 17-inch alloy in terms of styling. I think the O2 probably makes more sense in terms of the range and the charge speeds. Whichever one you go for comes with heat pump as standard, and also the standard range has a 39 kilowatt hour battery, which gives you 203 miles, and the long range gives you 46 kilowatt hour battery usable for 229 miles on the WLTP. The long range version will give you 113 brake horsepower, so 0 to 60 in 10.6 seconds. The standard is 95 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 in 11.7 seconds. The charge speed would depend on which version you go for. So if you go for the standard range, you're looking at 73 kilowatt hour charging. If you go for the longer range, you're looking at 85 kilowatt hour charging. So I think, again, it makes sense to go for the O2, which comes with that long range battery. So overall, you get longer range, you get faster speeds, more power, and faster charge speeds as well, and just some extra detail in terms of the styling and what you get, like dual climate control, for example. So I'd say that's probably the one most people will go for. Hyundai is also very generous when it comes to the warranty. So you're looking at 5-year unlimited mileage warranty and 8 years for the battery. So overall, really great package when it comes to the design, how practical it is, the options available. Granted, the speed is not something that's outrageous or out there, but I think when you're going to be driving around city and stuff like that, is in, it matches up with it's in proportion to where you're going to be driving. You don't need anything more than that, really. And it can still do motorway speeds as well. It gets up to speed very quickly. I mean, I say quickly, but in a decent amount of time without struggle. So that's not a problem. It doesn't have that sustained speed, though, when you go past like 60 miles per hour. So you start to feel where the compromise is at when it comes to the power that you get with it and the battery and stuff like that. So that's something to bear in mind. Right then, let's talk about the driving experience, what this feels like to drive it on the road. And for this one, I'm taking it around town, just around London, just to get a real world experience and view of what that will feel like, because most people will buy this to drive around town as a city car. It's an excellent city car. It's got everything in terms of the speed, the power, the range, the practicality is there, and the price is good as well. You're talking around £20,000 or so to get something like this package. The range is really good, which I really like. That ticks a box there for me already. The power is decent as well. I think it's in proportion to where you're going to be driving it. So if you're going to be driving around town like this, you don't need anything more powerful than what this can do. This can also handle motorway, although when it comes to the sustained speed, it's not quite there. But that's understandable in terms of what you get, in terms of the package, the power that's been put into this. Elsewhere, visibility is great. There's no pillars blocking you. There's no big mirrors blocking your views or anything like that, which I think is spot on. You need it to be like that, because if you're going to be driving this around the town, around cities, you want to be able to see corners very easily. You want to be able to see junctions before you move out or get out. You want to be able to see things very, very easily with no issues. And I talk about the size already. It makes it very easy to park around town, so no issues there at all. Yes, they quoted over 200 miles on the WLTP. You're not gonna be getting that. You do get heat pump as default on here as standard, but the kind of range you're gonna be getting is still pretty decent. Like right now, I have 51% battery, and it says I can still do 116 miles. So you're gonna be driving this for a while before you need to charge it overnight or anything like that. You can also take it to your charging stations, and if you have the O2, it's 85 kilowatts fast charge. So half an hour, you get up to speed in no time. When it comes to the handling, I think it's really good. It has a soft suspension, so it's nice and comfortable on the road. So, for example, right here, I'm driving over speed bumps, these big speed bumps here. It's just nice and comfortable with no big clunks or anything like that. One thing I didn't like, though, is some of the noise that this makes. You have to go into settings to turn them off, so things like your driver awareness, things like your speed warning. Understandably, some of this stuff you do have to have by regulation. It's just how it is. So there's nothing you can do about some of those kind of features, but you have to go into settings to turn it off each and every time, which can become very annoying very quickly. You're still going to feel all the little micro potholes and stuff like that when you're driving around London, which honestly that's minor in the grand scheme of things. Elsewhere, this has this whining electric noise that you're going to hear audibly every time you drive in. It can become annoying, but you get used to it very quickly, I think. Road noise is there as well, understandably well. This is a very light car in comparison in the grand scheme of things. So you are going to hear the road noise as you're driving, especially at higher speeds. You will hear that. But at lower speeds, all you get is this windy electric noise. This is something that you have to bear in mind as you're driving out and about town. But other than that, though, I think it's a fantastic car. It's all round, gives you everything as a package, like good pricing, like I said, good range, charge speeds. You know, it's comfortable here. It's just really nice, and it's kind of up to date as well, apart from that infotainment system that probably needs to be updated, but you still get Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, albeit you have to connect via cable. And at that, you need the right cable as well. If you don't have the correct cable, you're going to end up just not being able to use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. It does have sat-nav built in. You can go into settings as well, change your audio levels, equalizer, all that kind of stuff. So I think overall, it's a fun little car, and I really like it. In comparison to like the Renault 5s and the EC3, etc., this actually might be my favorite one, although obviously the Renault 5 does look better in terms of design. And yeah, so that's all the kind of stuff that I've experienced and stuff that you need to bear in mind if you're thinking of buying one of these. But over to you though. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. And thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below. See you in the next one.